And we're back for more My Summer Car. An adventure in Finland. Tales of a Finnish fuckabout. Is that a word? A fuckabout? So I'm in the outhouse at Tamo's bar. About to get the fuck out of here and go, I don't know, go back home, fix the car. But
Jaha, etkö sinäkin turruttamaan sun pääs, että
so I gotta
unohtuu
get
hetkeksi eikä
some
kahden
food.
paikka tämä muolima loppujen lopuksi on.
Wasting my money on this shit. He's gonna go microwave it. Gotta get a couple of beers. What does that do? Just waste the money? Oh. Ooh, 3 of a kind. What have I done? Oh, you give me the ass, dude. Okay. He likes the music. Eight, 9, Jack. Queen, King. Oh no, I did it wrong. I don't know how to get my money out. Alright, whatever. So he gave me sausage. He's gonna give me a beer. And then I gotta catch the bus. Oh, sorry, I'm displaying the technical difficulty shit. I always forget. Okay. My goal is to get home before 2 a.m., but I don't think that's going to happen. So, I'm really just taking it easy. I'm trying to remember where I have a vehicle. Where's the van? How did I kill myself? Oh, I drank Kill You. So I really need a ride home from Cousin, if I can get one. So basically you're just going to have to wait here for Cousin to come by. Or the bus. No big deal. And I wonder if the liquor is fucked now because I drank it and I left the lid open. Like, did I waste it all? Let's see what's on the boob tube here.
Do you think Trump's assembling a rap crew? Have you seen this?
Oh, shit.
That he's got.
Oh, yeah.
Trump's got 50.
Oh, I was kidding. I thought you meant WRAP.
No.
You mean a real rap
He's
crew.
got-
Yeah, you're right.
He's got 50. He's got Ice Cube, which I don't know how you go from fuck the kind of Ice Cube. I mean, I think he's got Ice Cube.
He's
Ice
got
Cube
Ice Cube.
just doesn't want to go all the way with
Sure.
it.
Right. Didn't 50
He's got
backtrack?
Ice Cube. I don't know if he fully backtracked. If you could find
Did
that
he?
quote for me, I'd
He
be willing.
kind of
'cause he's a-
backtracked, but he's
Yeah.
definitely voting Trump.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
50's a troll. Like, that's the other thing. Like, so many rapper trolls
Yeah.
are just
Maybe I
doing
could
it to
take the
troll. Like,
Gifu
I
home?
believe that he's got 50. I mean, even if he did backtrack,
I'll try and take the
more
Gifu
people
home.
heard the first thing than the backtrack
Let's
for
see.
sure.
Here's the backtrack.
That's the inspection
quote.
office.
Fuck Donald
Okay.
Trump.
That's what he said?
He said that 1 week after endorsing him.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see if the Gifu can make it on a single tank of diesel. I think it probably needs more. And if I get stranded on the highway, then so be it, right? Had to have it towed back to the fucking sewage treatment plant. Because I just couldn't hack it. Buddy, hack it. Oh, wait a minute. It occurs to me that I don't actually remember where the treatment plant is. I thought it was over here. Yeah, so that's the inspection office. It should be back and to the left. Maybe it's just too dark to see. Yeah, I think that's it back there. It's impossibly dark. Like, I have to turn the lights off in my apartment just to so I can see where I meant to go here. Right, it's pitch, but I feel like I'm near the truck. Yeah, there it is. You really feel like you're off in Finland when you're playing this game. Okay. There's an interior light, yeah? Nice. Pull the throttle out. It has not very much gas. Hopefully just enough to get home. It's driving real weird. I think it just needs some throttle time. Right, so we come out of here, and I guess we go right. It's driving really weird. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really understand. Oh, there it goes. Oh, okay, so this takes me the wrong way, the opposite way through town. I'm not trying to do that. Oh, there's that guy waiting for me in the middle of the night to pump his shit, but I'm not doing that either. Just gonna continue on. Don't understand why it's doing this RPM thing. Hopefully I have enough gas to get home. Really don't know. We'll turn on the radio if I can find it. There it is. Yeah. The truck is difficult to control. Maybe that was the differential lock? Oh my god, I'm wrecking the car. Oh man. This game is impossible. Like, I must be the worst My Summer Car player that's ever trying to make a video series about it. This is shit. I mean, this is utter shit. So it's going to be the middle of the night and I'm back here. Wrecked the Gifu. You know? Oh, man. Not good. So he has closed the pub and everything now. No sign of the bus, just these mysterious lights. It's now Sunday morning. Hello, Yeet. How the hell are you? Do you have school tomorrow? Are you going to school? So there's not going to be a bus until 6 a.m. Oh no, I think I hear it. Yeah, I hear the bus. That could also be cousin, but I think it's the bus. Yeah, it's the bus. One more fucking miserable bus ride, please.
Taking back the endorsement. He's just like, I'm gonna vote for that guy, but fuck that guy. Like, you could still vote for somebody that, fuck him, but I'll still vote for him. So I would say he's still got 50.
Okay, wait. His full quote
Go
was, 50 saw a news broadcast stating that some New York City residents will be taxed at a rate of 62% under Joe Biden's tax plan. And then he wrote, what the fuck? Vote for Trump. I'm out. Fuck New York, blah, blah, blah. A day later, Jackson doubled down, saying, I don't want to be 20 cent. Then Chelsea Handler said something.
Well, Chelsea Handler said something to the effect of, if you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black.
And then he wrote another spin, fuck Donald Trump, I never liked him. For all I know, he had me set up, and my friend Angel Fernandez killed, but that's history. LOL.
Okay, so maybe, all right, so 50's on the fence, I'll say. 50's on the fence. 50's undecided. Okay, I won't give... Trump's got Ice Cube.
He's voting for Trump. 50 is voting for Trump. And why would an ex-girlfriend, why would you react to your ex's voting choice publicly? What the fuck is wrong with people?
All right, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? That was from before the election. They were talking about something. I don't know. Let's find something else here. Here's how your cat is bored. John Oliver talks about the election results. That was good. Dr. Cornel West is the best. The best in the West. All right, bus is moving. All right, we'll see Cornel West from today, I guess.
The boys, Clifford Brown, the Abby Lincoln, Fannie Lou Hamer, the Ella Bakers, and others. We lose the source.
Yeet, what's new, man?
See, white supremacy has always tried to get us to somehow view ourselves through it.
Yes.
And white supremacists want us to view ourselves through them. So every time we think, we got to react to them rather than respond based on our point of reference, our tradition. You can't be a Clifford Brown if you're just concerned about white supremacy. When he's blowing his horn, he's thinking about Clark Terry. He's thinking about Louis Armstrong. He's thinking about the greatness that comes from his tradition. And he dies at 27, and look, unbelievable legacy he leaves because of his genius tied to the best of his tradition. And the same is true with Bob Marley, who dies in his 30s too. But look at the legacy he left. See what I mean? And
Absolutely.
so in that sense, I think anytime we talk about the Trumps and the others, we can't be so preoccupied that we don't allow us to be rooted in the best of our tradition to fortify us against his white supremacist sensibility, against his greed, against his hatred, against his contempt. Because greed and hatred and indifference toward black folk, that ain't new for us. 400
true.
years
Yes.
in this hemisphere,
Yes.
that ain't new at all.
Absolutely.
The question is what kind of strengths we have, what kind of determination, what kind of organization, what kind of solidarity. And we have to be able to engage in, serious discussion with each other because we don't have disagreements and things. But as long as we got the right standards in place, that's the key.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the key.
I love how you put that in navigating through this moment is understanding that point of reference. Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I want to talk about a little bit about the death of George Floyd and so many others. It appears that America has had this awakening, this enlightening, and I guess the way to put it is America is woke now. But do you believe that a movement, this multicultural social movement for justice, is sustainable when those that have been woke?
Watch out, driver! There's a car coming.
Understand or even know the black experience.
Oh! And they're
can it be
passing.
Sustainable for people.
Oh my God! They're gonna crash.
People that don't know of people. Number one, but also number two.
Oh, we just witnessed
I would say
a horrible crash.
Are we obligated to educate?
Oh, I think I see the Gifu ahead.
The black experience.
This is where I crashed the
Should that be
Gifu.
something that their outrage and their passion takes them to
Up here.
To find out.
No, I appreciate that question, no, brother. I mean, one is that
Yeah, there it is.
the test of being woke is not just going
Crashed.
to a demonstration.
Oh, we just hit it.
It's a beautiful thing to have
We just hit
brothers and
it.
sisters of all colors out there. You had 4,700 demonstrations in 2,000 cities. Some cities, of course, had a number of different demonstrations over time. That's a beautiful thing. It means that when there's a public lynching, like our precious and priceless brother George Perry Floyd Jr., that there ought to be some response. People ought to have a sensitivity. People ought to have some feeling, caring, concern about our brother who was publicly lynched like that. So I don't want to downplay the display of concern, but when you're woke and fortified, you decide to become part of organization. You decide to become part of institutions. You decide to become part of movements. And the question is how long we can sustain the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's not a flash in the pan. So it's not just a matter of going to a demonstration here or there, but it's a matter of trying to dedicate significant energy and time to it. And that's therefore untested. Now, it's very important that there have always been white brothers and sisters who have been part of the Black freedom movement. John Brown was no joke.
Exactly.
He and his sons, they gave their lives in that guy. Now, of course, he got a whole lot of cousins who never got the memo, because so you talking about a slice of white brothers and sisters who have been in solidarity with our movement. We always embraced them, but the vast majority of our white
just
brothers
after
and
4
sisters
a.m.
have not joined the movement at all, and that's true today.
Yes.
Going to a demonstration don't mean you decided to join the movement. Wonderful to go be out there, but when you get tested, that's when you know. That's when you know. Miles Horton, white brother, founded Highlander Center. Our dear sister Rosa Parks was there 3 months before she sat down on the bus in order to stand up for justice. Stokely Carmichael was there. Diane Nash was there. John Lewis was there. This was a white brother, Highlander, right there in Tennessee. His cousins were Ku Klux Klansmen who would burn it down. He'd build it back up again. But that's a serious white brother.
Yes.
I mean, his wife was a co-writer of the song "We Shall Overcome." Serious white sister. You see? So that they're always been part of the movement. It's like Eminem and hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Dr. Dre said, "Come on, Eminem, you look like you sounding good, man. Everybody know you ain't no Biggie, you ain't no Tupac, and you definitely ain't no Rakim.
We're being followed.
You learned something from Rhapsody and Missy. But come on in, Eminem,
Exactly.
you're a white brother. We always been like that as a people. Our churches were like that. Come on in. White folk want to join the church, not necessarily singing on tune in the choir or on beat. But come on in. That's who we are as a people. We couldn't go to their churches. We invite them in. But it was a small number. You see, because in the end, the best of our tradition is always the love warrior tradition. Embracing folk who have the spiritual and moral courage to be in profound solidarity.
So we're coming up on the
struggle for
turn,
justice.
as we have so many times
So
before.
I do think that I'm not putting down the demonstration. It's very important, but it requires much more than that.
Ooh, we almost missed the stop here, bus
If
driver.
they want to learn, immerse themselves in it, come in. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's fine. Very much so.
All right, so
and the onus has to be on them.
I'm out.
The passion and the
Now I'm
outrage,
walking.
I think, will only last so long because seasons change.
That's
but
true.
I think when you truly want to be, I would say, partners in changing the trajectory of the injustice, I think individuals will commit themselves, and you have described, examples of our white brothers and sisters that have done that. But my concern is,
There's not enough. Not enough. You meet the test of integrity, sincerity, and willingness to serve.
Yes.
Usually not enough. You're
Exactly.
right there.
Exactly. I want to move to politics because we're going to go and then we're going to open it up for some questions. But I do have a few things that I want to address. I mean, I think everybody wants to hear you talk about the 2020 election that's coming up here Tuesday. And it seems that the country is holding a collective breath, and you speak up. And I love this. You speak.
Morning, it's Sunday morning, and I'm on my way back home once again, just to try and make sense of my horrible life here in Finland. Just trying to get everything back together and fix my fucking alternator. I need a new flywheel. My friend said I should buy the racing flywheel, so I'm gonna buy that. And he said that because it's a pain in the ass to get to the flywheel. So go ahead and, while I've got the engine apart, break it all back down, open up whatever I gotta do to get the flywheel situated, changed out. So by Monday morning, I'll be on my way to Fleeteries, ready to buy my parts. Hopefully I can afford it. Plus the gas, Of course. And just, how many times have I done this walk on the stream now? This is crazy. I keep dying. Like, I didn't used to die like this, but now I'm dying a few times a day. Like, I had a streak going of like 3 or 4 days, 5 days maybe, or a week or something. And now I'm just sucking around town with my thumb up in the air. This game is a meditation. It teaches you, or it at least forces you to access a kind of patience and an acceptance of things that happen, good or bad, usually bad. And I think that's something that I really like about it. You know? A lot of people would not like this. They would see this as a waste. Why not just get to the part where you're building the engine? You know? And that's kind of not the point. Of course I want to do that. I think I spent 3 hours today fucking traveling and like 3 minutes taking the motor apart and taking off the alternator. It's so funny, you know. But I feel like I am getting my shit together to some degree. I got to figure out about the Gifu. I need to understand the Gifu controls because it was like bucking and falling all over the road and shit. Like the lock differential. That's just the wheels rotating at different speeds around the car. The vehicle. Like you would lock it if you're off-road or you're stuck. Like I got stuck in those trees. Oh, okay. So I'm reading now that the truck gets too heavy because it's got all this sewage in it. I need to dump the sewage. All right, so here we are at my very last road. Oh, I'm going to die of thirst. Yeah, I'm going to die of thirst. Great. That's fucking great. Fuck this game. Fuck this game. How many times do I have to get on that motherfucking bus? I'm just going to lay down on the train tracks. I might not even make it. Yeet. I wasn't made for this world. Here comes the train. Fuck you. Oh my god. Young male killed by a train. No shit. All right. Well, this is a great way to fucking advance time, isn't it? One bus ride at a time. Tamo's closed, but I do have my emergency beer outside, which I'll be taking with me on the bus. I am gonna hold the beer as I wait for cousin or the bus. Again, he does sometimes come through here. So here I wait, like a putz. Let's hear what Cornell West has to say.
Humility and tenacity in a leader.
This is the interviewer.
And I would like for
Wilmington
you to kind of
Library.
elaborate on what you mean by that, but also talk about, do you see that in Joe Biden? You know, do you, because I know clearly it's not in Trump. So could you elaborate on those two, very important characteristics of leadership?
Well, I appreciate the way you asked that question, because we have to try to be honest, man, especially with people who are suffering. We have to respect people enough to tell them the truth. So you can't just go out there and be lying on folk just to try to get people to vote. Now, I think that we're living in a moment where neo-fascism is so real.
Here comes the bus.
That we've got to get the neo-fascist gangster out of the White House. That to me is the first priority. Because with fascism, it calls into question the very possibility of any democracy whatsoever. Massive disregard of rule of law, suppression of dissenting voices, violation of rights, liberties, the rule of big money, the rule of big military, and white supremacy is the public face of American fascism. So we're the first ones to get pushed.
Oh, I'm on with the masturbator.
Immigrants and so forth.
He's going to be masturbating.
Pushed because white supremacy sits at the center of the country in terms of its understanding of itself. So the worst of white supremacy is always manifest in its white. The worst of America is manifest in the worst of its white supremacist actions, and the best is the struggles against white supremacy. But here comes Biden. You see, and Biden himself, Biden is like, let me put it this way. Biden is like, you want to go to a Curtis Mayfield concert and Pat Boone shows up. So Pat Boone is going to be better than the Ku Klux Klan. He's going to be better than the neo-fascists. But don't try to convince me that Curtis is Pat Boone. Or don't try to convince me that Kenny G is John Coltrane. See what I mean? We had to make some distinctions. So as much as I want Biden to win, I'm doing all I can to push him across the line. I'm not going to lie about him. So a lot of people think that somehow you got to cast him as if he's some grand progressive figure who can come save the country. No. Biden got problems. Biden got some serious problems. But he's so much better than the gangster. So we had to be prudential as we tell the truth about what we mean. And what do you mean by better? Well, mass incarceration, the crime bill. That's our young brothers and sisters went to jail. Iraq war. That's 500,000 people dead. Iraqi life has the same value as any other life. That's my kind of Christian sensibility. Jesus loved the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. All the children. Iraqi children, black children, white children across the board. Wall Street, unleashing Wall Street greed. By the Glass-Steagall Act that was repealed. So that you have to be able to tell that truth and say, look, given those things, he's still better than the gangster.
Yes.
Therefore, he's got to be pushed over the finish line. But when he gets pushed over the finish line, don't think that somehow he's going to make a priority of black people, or make a priority of poor people, make a priority of working people. He's tied to Wall Street. He's tied to Pentagon militarism. That's who he is.
And we're
Now, a
off.
lot of people don't want to hear that, you know. Oh, Brother West, we want people to be fired up, and we want people to vote and realize who they voting for is some great figure. I said, no, you got the wrong person. I'm not gonna lie like that.
Yeah.
People have to be grown up enough to say this person is better than this person. We got to fight against fascism. I'm part of an anti-fascist coalition, and in that coalition, you got a lot of folks you disagree with. And yet, the only way you can push fascism back is to vote for Biden, because as a centrist, as a moderate, as a neoliberal, he's better than the neo-fascist. That's the kind of political education, and that's the kind of truth telling that we have to have. And we don't get it enough. And it's that's one reason why we got so many people don't vote at all. See, large people just don't. Well, you know what? All them gangsters, ain't nobody telling me the truth. They never change. They talk one way, and as soon as they get in there, they shift. I'm not voting for anybody.
Yeah.
That's over 40% of our fellow citizens, and higher percentage of black people. I think that's wrong. I think they should vote, but they need to think it through, so they don't have high expectations and then get completely disappointed. But make some serious analysis and recognize how we can push back fascism and push Biden in. Once Biden gets in, then we got to keep the pressure on him. I mean, that's my way of assessing. What is your read, my brother? We here to learn from you too, though, man.
Well, I mean, I I'm of the same mindset that you are, and I think what sticks out in my mind is this idea of if he does get in, if he does respond to the needs of the black community, it would really be a first. We have not seen, we have been promised
Is this my
over
turn?
and over again. The rhetoric is we know it. And I think, as you say, so many people have become,
Already?
I would say, apathetic to voting. But it would be the first. And I think people don't understand that,
No.
Doc. They don't understand that we're asking for something that has not taken place. But the question is, how do we make that a reality? Because, as you said, I don't believe that, Mr. Biden will come in and really respond to the needs of a black community like we need for that to be, right? That needs to be a focus.
That's right.
What people, our problems need to be a focus, because they're not
Look at
just
his
black
posture.
problems, they're American problems, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you begin with how you treat the least of these. You see, you don't measure the progress based on how you treat the black upper middle class. You measure it in terms of how are you treating the precious brothers and sisters in the hood.
Yes.
Who wrestling with
There's
the
my
budget
wrecked
school
Gifu.
system, indecent housing, not enough jobs with a living wage. That's the measure. Because the centrists can easily say, well, we hired some black people and we got some black elites as part of our circle, and we say that's fine, that's good, but that's just one small step. So we measure serious progress in terms of the least of these. That's the biblical criteria. And who are the least of these? Those in prison. It's the poor. It's the elderly. It's women. It's folk catching hell. The folk who are already doing well. Don't tell me about their new opportunities. If I'm already at Harvard, don't use me as an example of success in black community. No, the measure is my precious brothers Jamal and Letitia and the others catching hell. And I don't allow myself to get used as this nice little example of success so people can brag about their diversity and their inclusion and their equity and all these little categories they use that don't really want to get at what's happening to the least of these. And see, as Christians, let alone as human beings, we can't allow ourselves to be used like that. Not at all.
Yeah, that's that is profound in the sense that you know, when will change come? What will change look like? Who will lead that change? And I think you know, we have to look to those that are in public office, but also, you know, we have to have some sort of self-determination somewhere in there. And you spoke about, you know, the least among us, and how do we ourselves advocate for policies that target. I'm not talking about, you know, opportunity zones. You know, folks created opportunity zones, and black folks don't have no leverage in who is designating those or who is getting money in the opportunity.
Where is the wealth coming from? Where is the capital coming from? Where is the credit coming from? What voices do we have as to who gains access to the credit and the capital? You see?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You're absolutely right.
And so do you in dealing again with the election and looking for if Biden wins, what we need to do as a community. And this is, I'm going to bring up President Obama because I want to understand, and I think we need to hear. You had some legitimate concerns regarding what was happening in the black community. How do we, if you want to talk a little bit about those concerns, but how do we?
Turn's coming up.
How do we correct that? How do we ensure that we don't have the same concerns 4 years from now if Biden gets in?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Now, here again, we've got to go back to the best of our tradition.
God, fuck these monkeys on the road. Holy
Brother
shit.
Martin Luther King taught us. He said there's 4 criteria: poverty, racism, militarism.
Get the fuck out of here with your bus.
And materialism. And that's a spiritual issue. See, materialism means you just think you can possess your soul by means of possessing commodities and things. So your whole conception of being human is how big your house is, how big your car is, what your status is, what your title is. Well, see, that's spiritual emptiness. You can't have a movement based on people who are obsessed with materialism because they get bought off real quick. All people got to do is just give them a bigger house. Then they ain't gonna serve the people no more. Or give them a bigger status and they're not gonna fight no more. They damp as they fire. But poverty, crucial. So that when you have any president, Brother Barack Obama, anybody else, the question became, and of course, when I worked with him, that was my question. I said, what is your relation to Martin Luther King Jr.? When it comes to those 4 issues, are you going to fight against poverty? Are you going to fight against militarism and war?
Uh-oh.
I'm talking about drones.
There's the rally.
Bombs dropped. Are you going to fight against materialism?
Wow, listen to that car.
Are you going to fight against racism, white supremacy? And in our day, that has very much to do with mass incarceration. You can't be an afterthought. That's a new Jim Crow. And anybody concerned with fighting white supremacy got to fight against Jim Crow. That's like in the 1940s. You're going to fight against racism, but you're not going to fight against Jim Crow. Well, we got a new Jim Crow of mass incarceration. So that's very important to hit head on, especially for our young people. Because most of our
rally
young
marker.
brothers, 1 out of 3 connected to the mass incarceration system. You see. So when Brother Barack, when he came in, and after having, worked with him and so forth, and I looked at all the people around him, I said, you're bailing out Wall Street, but you're not bailing out homeowners. That's a Keith Sweat moment. Something just ain't right. Something just ain't right. Wall Street don't need no bailing out. The homeowners do. Black folks lost 58% of their wealth because they lost their home. Because of what? Wall Street crimes. Insider trading, market manipulation, predatory lending. How many Wall Street folk went to jail? 0. You see what I mean? So that's a moral and spiritual issue. You got all these folk out here catching hell. Wall Street getting all of this money and support. What's the president supporting Wall Street for? When he had the meeting with Wall Street, he said, I stand between you and the pitchforks. Don't worry, I'm on your side. You don't say that to Wall Street. You say that to the least of these. That's why Jesus ran out the money changers of the temple. That's why they put him on the cross, because he ran them out. But who was getting run out of that temple? Wall Street, crooked politicians. We talking symbolically and literally. That's who Jesus ran out, and he ended up putting him on the cross. Well, I'm a follower of Jesus. Yeah. So it ain't about popularity. I'm following Jesus. You see, he running the money changers out. I got to find out who these money changers are, who these greedy folk who got all of this stuff, and these precious poor people ain't got nothing. Going to all these fancy schools, and the poor children ain't got schools to go to. Got all of these books, and the poor children don't have enough books. That's why most people don't want to follow Jesus. It's too hard. No, they want to be well adjusted to injustice. They want to be well adapted to indifference. No, they want to be accepted by the mainstream. They scared of the cross. No crown without the cross. No justice without the love.
Yes.
So same was true with the drones. I said, now, George Bush dropped 45 drones on folk, innocent folk. And then Obama dropped 563. Now, I got to be consistent. You see, how many folk were killed by those drones? We don't even talk about it. How many bombs were dropped? Brother, Barack Obama dropped 25,000 bombs last year he was in office. Every year he dropped about 20. How many were killed? How many were killed? Oh, Brother West, you don't want to embarrass the black president? I am in solidarity with Brother Barack Obama and Michelle and the precious girls. One of his daughters is a student right here at Harvard where I teach. If they mistreating them, because I hate white supremacy. But if you were president and you got the killer list every Tuesday and you're choosing who you're going to kill with your drones, that goes against my vacation Bible school teacher. No, you don't be dropping bombs on innocent folk. I don't care what color you are. So you got to tell that truth. You see what I mean? You got to tell that truth. Brother Martin did the same thing with LBJ, didn't he? LBJ pushed through 64 bill, 65 bill, housing bill. Everybody said, Brother Martin, LBJ is on your side. I know. I love LBJ. He's dropping bombs on precious babies in Vietnam, and the Vietnamese baby got the same value as a black and a white baby in America. And what happened to Martin? People turned against him. He only had 55% of black folks supporting him when it came to that issue. Why? Because he was a Christian. He's a decent man. He had to be true to his calling of what it is to be a moral and spiritual person.
Yeah.
You can't run around talking about, well, I want to be a nonviolent Mississippi and support violence in Vietnam. You can't say Emmett Till, precious brother, get killed by cowardly terrorists, and yet U.S. bombs are killing babies in Vietnam. So what happens is you end up with black folk being flag wavers rather than cross bearers. Every flag is under the cross. Every flag, every nation, every country is under the cross. And by cross, what I mean is unarmed truth, unconditional love. So you don't even have to be a Christian to understand the cross. Now, I am a Christian, so it's more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that cross stands for truth and love. And if somebody's violating truth and love, no matter what color they are, you had to be critical. Not I didn't talk about him in any vicious way in terms of mama or his family or nothing like that. I said, you're doing wrong things, brother. And you need to be accountable. Why? Because truth is bigger than all of us. Justice is bigger than all of us. And where I started, the folks who came before, brother. The ones who died for us, sacrificed for us, mama, daddy, grandmama, granddaddy, aunts, and uncles, they wanted us to be involved in a quest for truth and justice.
Yeah.
They set the standards. They're the ones set the standard. That's when they asked Miles Davis. They said, Miles Davis, what is jazz? He said, jazz is 4 words. Louis Armstrong, Charlie Parker. They say, well, Miles, what you talking about? He said, they set the standards. He could have said Sarah Vaughan. He could have said Billie Holiday. He could have said Dinah Washington. They set the standards. Aretha. They set the standards. Luther Vandross. They set the standards. Donny Hathaway. They set the standards. So you ain't gonna come acting like you singing off the wall and say that you the next Donny Hathaway. No, learn how to sing. Get your notes together. They set the standards. So is true in our politics. So is true in our religion. Certain folk set the high standard. Fannie Lou did. Martin Luther King did. Malcolm X did. A. Philip Randolph did. Ella Baker did. They set the standards. Toni Morrison does in literature. She set the standards.
And you know, Dr. West,
I'm sorry to go on and
no,
on.
no.
This is important now. This is important.
You know, this is one reason why I think your voice is so powerful when it comes to Black identity. This idea of knowing those who set the standards, being able to reach back and understand the foundation that was built, that was laid, in which we stand upon. And I just see so many of us, we can't reach back. We don't have that knowledge. And so, I thank you for reminding us and inspiring us to know those. And I would not be in where I'm in today if I did not reach back and understand whose shoulders I am standing on.
Exactly. You remember Sankofa? You know what Sankofa stands for? Sankofa says, before you even move forward, you get in contact with the best of your own tradition. So you and I grew up playing baseball. It's Willie Mays. It's not Willie Mays just he's a black man. He's the best one out there. If we punch it, it's Muhammad Ali. He's the best one out there. And we want to be the best.
Yes.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Now, you know, he's named after Eddie Kendrick.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that.
Oh, his mama named him after that genius in Birmingham, Alabama, who sang with Otis Williams and sang with all of those other Temptations. Eddie Kendrick set a standard, and Kendrick's mama said, I'm going to name you after a high standard. There's a whole lot of black folk who just singing out of tune. She ain't named him after that. She named him after the high level of excellence in that regard. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then here come Kendrick Lamar, who then keeps track of the best within his own genre. He's very obsessed with Biggie and Tupac. He's very obsessed with Rakim, the greatest ones there, the Snoop and the others. He was also influenced by DMX. DMX was a complicated brother.
Yes, absolutely.
We ain't gonna get into that right now. Right. But he the only artist got five albums. All of them went platinum. But the stuff he's saying about, you know, he's got some, let's just call it Holy Ghost challenge. You know, he got some Holy Ghost challenges that we need to work with. We all of us need that. But DMX is one of the great artists, but he got some challenges. You know, he's like Rudy Ray Moore when we were coming up. Well, you probably too young for that. Well, Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore.
Yes.
You know, he talented, but he ain't no Richard Pryor. Everybody know that.
Right.
Everybody know that.
And before we go to some questions, I just want to just have you elaborate for a moment. I mean, we're in a pandemic, you know, a world pandemic, and we know that we're losing more in our
Pizza Planet. I haven't heard Pizza Planet in like 20 years. You want me to go and get more beer? I don't know, man. When I get to the house, you're going to see that I have enough. Currently, I'm drinking. I wish I was drinking in real life. Every time I see him drink one of these beers, I just think, God damn, I could drink like 6 of those right now. Tasty fucking beer. It makes me thirsty just to think about it. I might have to go to the kitchen and get some water. Think I'm fucking around? I'm going for water, champ. I'll wait till I get home. We're listening to Cornel West. He's cool. It's moving speaker. My favorite. He's my favorite living public speaker. Orator. Who's your favorite orator? Pizza Planet 21. I was watching Carl Sagan last night, really enjoying Carl Sagan. I originally downloaded the Cosmos series when I was 21. Just really enjoying Carl Sagan. Maybe I was 22. And then I watched the whole series and I was kind of sad it was over, you know. But now I'm rewatching it and I'm seeing it like it's the first time, you know, with fresh eyes. It's good to revisit things that you loved in the past with new eyes as you go through different stages of your life. Not too much. You need to expose yourself to new materials as well. But it's good to do that. So we finally made it back home. It took a long fucking time, man. These trips take a while. I gotta quit doing this. Quit dying like this. Alright, so what do we need? There's gasoline. We need more. We need our bottles back. Like, I feel like I'm missing some bottles. So we're gonna need extra diesel. We gotta break the motor down a little bit more. Trying to get to the flywheel, which would be back here. Just wondering if I can take off this whole assembly without the need for other shit. Nah, this stuff has to come off too. Yeah. Okay. What is this thing? Does it really take a fucking 12 or a 13? Uh-oh. There's the phone. All right. Yeah, he wants firewood. That's perfect. We need the fucking money, man. We'll deliver his firewood soon. I've got the tractor, yeah. Alright, so I'm doing this wrong. Because this doesn't want to match anything I already have. crazy. Is it about to spill oil all over? Yeah. Okay. Still won't knock off though. Looks like the inspection cover came off. That should be it. Why won't it fucking come off? Oh, it's this horse shit. These fucking hoses. Again, the hoses get you every time. Alright. I forget about the hoses, man. Breaking that hose. Boats and hose. Alright, there's a couple more in here, right? Right there, I believe. No. Down here. There's even an invisible connection, right? Yeah, there's this. There we go. Okay. Now, will this break off? I have made a mess of this thing. There's my oil pan. There's my gearbox. Whew. Poor car. Still got to get that flywheel off before I can really finish up here. I don't think I need to take the rest of this off, though. I'm going to screw that back down. Okay. I'm just trying to get this off next. The clutch assembly. What would that be? The camshaft gear? No. It's going to take a 6. And that'll come right off. All right, so there's the crankshaft. But this should be the flywheel, right? Is that the flywheel? All right. There's my flywheel. I'll get a racing one. There it is. I believe that's my racing flywheel. I can just barely afford it. Not really. I can't afford it at all, but we're going to put in for it. I can afford it because I'm going to do the wood cutting. So I'll take this in the house. Put it on the table. Oh shit, the Kilyu. Is it rotten? It might still be good. I just drank right out of it, man. Alright, here's the lid. Cool. Oh yeah, it's bubbling. It's good to go. Very nice. Beautiful. We got sausages. I'd better get water in real life now. Yeah. I will. I'll get water. And I'll be right back. Where'd my stereo go? Have I lost the stereo? Did I leave it in the house? Where did it go? Oh, there it is. There's my stereo. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's nice.
Kello 5.50 seuraa säätiedotus merenkulkijoille. Kovan tuulen varoitus. Merenkurkku ja perämeli, etelän puoleista tuulta huomenna 16 metriä sekunnissa. Selkämeri, etelän ja lounaan välistä tuulta huomenna 14 metriä sekunnissa. Odotettavissa huomisiltaan asti. Suomenlahti, Pohjois-Itämeri, Ahvenanmeri ja Saaristomeri. Etelän ja lounaan välistä tuulta 8-12 metriä sekunnissa. Enimmäkseen hyvä näkyvyys. Selkämeri. Etelän ja lounaan välistä tuulta 8-12.
Okay. I will, might be too early to go to sleep. But I'll try. As I am wont to do. Maybe sleep all night. That'd be cool. It does seem a little too early. But I got the engine broken down to where I need it, so I can walk away from that.
Painu vittuu, saatana.
Go to pussy, Satan. Gosh, pussy's good. I would gladly go to pussy right now. I don't need to be told twice. Oh yeah, they wanted wood, but I guess fuck, I can take a cup of coffee, go cut wood, and that should be enough, right? And then the day will be over. uncle. Don't need him anymore. He's a bum, a layabout. Who cares, right? Who gives a fuck about Uncle anymore? Oh shit, I left the coffee going. Maybe it's empty. Yeah, it must be empty. So I'll cut till I get too tired. Oh shit, I forgot to get the trailer. Where did it go? Oh, there it is.
Attention all image board users! Are you sick of how everyone got all political?
I need a chan that represents my lethargy.
Come on over to 420 Chan, where the folks just don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Our boards are guaranteed not to be overpopulated with Russian troll farm botters influencing American elections.
It's just normal Russian.
So come on over to a better Chan, a quieter Chan, a Chan for the common man. 420chan.org. I'm a contributor, and I wholeheartedly recommend that you take your Terramax and use 420chan as the toilet for your mental leavings.
Gallon of that wild salt. Give me a gallon of that wild salt. Give me a gallon of that wild salt. Give me a gallon of that wildwood salt. I went to Wildwood the other day. I bought some sauce and I was on my way. Tell me, friend, how much sauce do you need? It'll give you the wildest dream. Give me a gallon of that wildwood salt. 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 I saw a pig flying in the night. I tell you, friend, it was a beautiful sight. I called to him and he turned his head. He spoke to me and this is what he said. Give me a gallon of that wildwood sauce. 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 In the morning I woke alone. I gathered myself and I headed for home. I stopped at Wildwood along the way and got my sauce fix for the day.
Are you grieving? Destitute? Has the cruel pointlessness of life got you down? Teachers, preachers, and therapists might offer tedious solutions with no guaranteed success. Don't just sit there and pray the pain away. Now, you can spray the pain away with Spray Pain. New from Liebel Drucker Laboratories, Spray Pain takes the hassle out of overcoming emotional turmoil. Use spray paint to get rid of unsightly pain related to any agonizing condition. Tragic loss of life, death of a pet, abandonment issues, funeral bombings, even failed marriage. With spray paint, every single thing you can think of that causes pain becomes a little ticklish gift from God in a bottle.
I'm happy again.
Liebel Droker says, spray away, pain away, come again another dark day.
Spray paint is a Weeble Joker product. This message is brought to you graciously by Weeble Joker Incorporated. We own everything that matters.
Tarviiko Sonnisen lypsyä tai lampaasi törintää? Lomittaja Erkki Armas Hokkanen on palveluksestanne 40 vuoden kokemuksella. Liuskat kädet ja raaka työ. Erkki Armas, vaikeudet lyö.
Sinä kuuntelet Toive-radiota. Soitamme suosikkikappaleitasi ympäri vuorokauden, joka päivä, koko viikon, vuosikaudet.
Hopefully, drunk guy calls me. No, he's not been calling. Yeah, it's Monday morning, so I'm just gonna take this wood over. Make a mint. Come back, and then I can afford that part in town, so that'll be cool. And we're off. This will be a good week in my summer car. I can feel it. Firewood guy is not a long drive. It'll be cool. Let's turn on talk radio.
No end in sight to this pandemic. I mean, where do we, I mean, the November 3rd is coming up, I understand that, but where do we go from here?
Yeah, brother, that's a tough one though, man. You know, we are blues people.
I love when you say that.
We are blues people, you see.
Yeah.
And the blues is a personal narrative of a catastrophe lyrically expressed. It's a strange fruit. That's Billy. That's catastrophe. That's American terrorism. That's lynching. And how does she do it? With style. She does it with determination, with her own genius, to keep moving, to keep on pushing, as Curtis would put it. B.B. King says, nobody loves me but my mama, and she might be driving too. That's the flip side of the thrill is gone. That's the king of the blues from Mississippi, B.B. King. How does he do it? With style. With that smile, a little help from Lucille, his guitar. And you can hear him playing that guitar. You hear Robert Johnson, the genius from the Delta, Mississippi. You hear Ma Rainey. You hear Bessie Smith. You hear Alberta. All of those voices coming through that tradition. Well, even in the midst of pandemic, it's another catastrophe. Oh, we've had so many catastrophes. Personal level. Mamas dying early. Friends betraying us. Folk undercutting the movement. White supremacy, catastrophe. Predatory capitalism driven by greed, exploiting our labor, catastrophe. Mistreating our children, catastrophe. Here come the pandemic, another catastrophe. Blues people, what kind of spiritual and moral resources do we have to deal with this new catastrophe? And it has to generate policy. You know, that's another reason why it's very important to get Trump out of the White House, because it's clear he don't give a damn at all. for the most part, of almost anybody, but especially people of color. Especially people of color. See, we just invisible. Can't see it. And that's another reason why Biden is very important in terms of getting him across the line. But when he gets across the line, we got to make sure, get him a national plan to deal with the pandemic. Am I still on though?
Yes.
You can hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
That black people have access to the care, the vaccines, what is required to deal with this pandemic. But it's another catastrophe. What is important to keep in mind though is that you see there's a whole lot of people in America who are not used to dealing with catastrophe. See, they've been living in Disney World conditions. They've been living in Disneyland conditions. They Peter Pan. They grew big in terms of money, grew big in terms of status, but they never grew up. See, that's why we don't have any blues proteges. No such thing as a 4-year-old child singing the blues. You got to have grown up to sing the blues. Now, it's true that Michael Jackson, I heard that brother sing Who's Loving You and Can You Remember by the Delphonics when he was 9 years old. I said, this little brother, he got the blues sensibility at 9. I don't know what's going on in his life. Because he's singing like he's really been in love. He's singing like he's talking about my situation. What is going on with Michael Jackson? Well, you know, that happens every once in a while, but generally speaking, you can't be a blues person unless you're going through some hell and high water. You can't be a blues person unless you suffered and you're wrestling with it. That's what it is to be a blues person.
So we've arrived at the house of Firewood Guy. And I hope he is as happy to see me as I am him, you know? There he is waving us on around. And on around we shall go. We're here for that money. Don't mind me, sir. Just here for the fucking money. All right. Let's open this gate and dump this fucking timber. Let me get you. There it goes. Dump that wood. Will it kill me? I don't have it in the right spot, do I? Okay. Lower it back. I'll fix it. There we go. That got it. Look at it. Bulging. 2,800. So now I can afford the new part. And whatever else I might need. Okay, we're lowering the hydraulics back down. And we're on our way back home with the money that we desperately needed. Cool. This will be my first good day in my summer car in a complete week. It was just one hellish week. That's over now. And this is a new era of prosperity, success. I'll be going to Fleeteries to buy my new wheel. My flywheel, I mean. And alternator. And then I'll really be in business. I mean, you eventually have to replace all the parts, so I'll replace as much as I can while I'm there. And now this shit is completely out of fuel. So I really need to get home with my fuel. But whatever. I mean, I assume that I can get all the way in the red. I don't really know. Probably. Why would they notch it like that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notches. That's just to let you know you're in the red. So I can get home on that. I can never tell if my differential's locked or not. Like, is up locked, down locked? I don't fucking know. I just ignore it as a concept, you know? Not even a game to me. I'll have to look that up too. I looked up about the Gifu and like nothing made sense. It still didn't really answer my questions. I know that now that I need to empty the tank though, because it makes it drive weird. All that piss and shit sloshing around in the back makes for a unpredictable ride. Yes.
Download the Hey Radio exclusive Apple Store app, SWAT Radio 2, and turn your own world into a Game of Thrones of doxing and swatting. It's every man for himself as the dogs go flying. Swat or be swatted. The gamification of life ruination is here.
Oh, they're pointing guns at me, but I lack the social toolkit to deal with the situation effectively. I am going to die.
Pre-order now and get 10 free SWAT coins for use on the Lethal Joker SWAT store.
A Lethal Joker product.
Tarviko Sonnisen lypsyä tai lampaasi törintää? Lomittaja Erkki Armas Hokkanen on palveluksessanne 40 vuoden kokemuksella. Liuskat kädet ja raaka työ. Erkki Armas, oikeuden lyö.
Wash me down. Wash me down. Sing nicely in your hand. Wash me down. Wash me down.
Power bill was way down. Spent the whole week away from home. Now that I'm home, I can get my letter off the table and get ready to go to town and buy fleeteries. Oh, I need to update the journal. It was like Sunday night, Monday morning. Where'd I put my sausages? Here we go. Okay, sausages. My letter. My parts are disassembled. And I should be good to go. Come on, bitch. Okay. What else do I need from town? Just gasoline? More diesel? Okay. Here we go. Oh no, I'm stuck up. Okay. Everything's closed this time. I need to go all the way around the map, really. Because I gotta go by the dump and pick up the Kilyu bottles. Yeah, I got quite a little day ahead of me here. Wonder which way it would be best to go. probably towards Fleetery first, because anything could happen after that. As long as I have my part in tow. Yeah, I guess I need to go to him first. And that lets my alcohol wear off too. Then I won't be driving drunk on the main road.
Vanilla sides of town, the blues is alien. They into comfort and convenience and contentment. And as soon as something goes wrong, their whole world collapses. And we say, dang, we've been dealing with catastrophes you know not of, and we still strong. Y'all got a little small crisis going on and ready to kill yourself. You got to get yourself together. You got to get your soul intact. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So now that the whole nation has the blues, they either learn something from a blues people or they lose their democracy. They lose it all. The greed blinds them. The white supremacy blinds them. The hatred blinds them. And they lose it all. And at that point, you know, it's a Malcolm moment, Malcolm X moment. Chickens come on the roost. You reap what you sow. Sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with the reality. You can stay at Disney World all you want. Eat all your popcorn, drink all your Coke on Main Street, but sooner or later, you're going to have to leave Disney World and go back in the real world. And if you're not equipped for that real world, you're going under. You know what I mean? You're going under.
Absolutely.
Peter Pan going to have to grow up sooner or later. You can't be walking around 55 years old acting like you 15.
Yeah.
You got to grow up.
Yeah. A blues nation.
But,
learn from a
blues
blues
is about maturity, growing up, and still having compassion, still having artistic creativity, still having connection with others. That's what it is to be a bluesman. We learn that from Ralph Ellison now in terms of his literature.
Absolutely.
It was Ralph who wrote about the blues in that way, but he was learning from a great people who produced a great tradition of deep love, a terrorized people who teach the world how to heal, a traumatized people who taught the world how to overcome and just keep overcoming. And my soul looked back and wonders how I got over. That's Clara Ward in her 20s. The soul looks back and wonders how I got over. Clara, where'd that come from? Well, I've been through some stuff.
Yes.
And here's my response. I ain't reacting to white folks. I'm overcoming the white supremacy. Take this. And we still singing that song to this day. She's been gone. Oh, what a people. What a great people at our best now.
Absolutely.
We deserve the best now. Oh, we start losing the best. We end up just gangsters just like this.
Absolutely. I want to try to get to some questions here.
Oh, absolutely. And we don't worry about time now.
Okay.
We go by the spirit. We ain't worry about no calendar time or nothing else.
All right.
Absolutely. That's the truth.
No, I appreciate it. I'm looking for, let me see. It says, Dr. West, are you familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson's plan?
All right. He's open. Let's see if he's got what I need. There's my alternator. Where's my fucking flywheel? Did I must not have disassembled the fucking thing enough. Alright. Fuck it, we'll be back. Thank you, sir. Brand new alternator. Don't mind if I do. Okay. So I could continue on through the dirt roads. But it's a treacherous drive. It can be kind of dangerous. So, Jesus. Okay. But then again, no cops. I think I like the no cops.
Willing to work with him to present this plan moving forward as an agenda for Black America?
Oh, no, I have a lot of respect for my brother. But I think I'm open to anybody who's loving Black people. Anybody. Anybody who's working to the best of their ability to get us out from under. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that can get you in trouble, though, you know, because I don't have to agree with everything Brother Claude is doing. He's got a good heart, and he's concerned about Black people. Ice Cube been getting in trouble lately. I love my brother Ice Cube. Ice Cube is trying to get Black folk out from under. It's just we can disagree with the timing of his plan. We can disagree with whether he should be raising it at this moment with the gangster Trump. But Ice Cube was concerned about Black brothers catching hell. I don't mind working with, but brother, I come in with my criticism. ADO, calling for, you know, the ADO organization?
Yes.
American Descendants. You know, I was there at the conference. Brother West, how come you spending time with ADOs? I thought, these are some folks, Sister Yvette and Brother Tone, they calling for reparations.
Oh, there's somebody on the road. I bet that's Cousin.
Half of us ain't got no wealth whatsoever. We need reparations. I don't have to agree with everything they talking about.
There he goes.
Minister Louis Farrakhan. Oh, Brother West, you hang out with Minister Louis Farrakhan, you must be anti-Jewish. No, not at all. I can keep track with the love in his heart, be critical of other things. He's also concerned about Black people. John Lewis and his crowd, that's closer to my heart in terms of Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy. Absolutely, you know. But I work with them as well. I work with the New Black Panthers. I work with anybody who's focusing on truth and justice, but you got to be a jazz person about that. The jazz person is flexible and fluid, so you have your own integrity wherever you go, wherever organization that you're working with, and you come out with your own sense of who you are. I know I am a Jesus-loving, free Black man who intends to be faithful unto death. If I work with my atheistic brothers and sisters, beautiful. They got some goodness in them. They got some courage and vision in them. But I take me and Jesus together. If I'm working with my Muslims the same way. So with Claude or anybody else, I'm very much open to it. I'm very much concerned with trying to be the force for good that I can be in my short life, given what we are up against.
Yeah,
very much so. I'm sorry to go on like that, but I'm using all of these different.
No, I was very curious about your take on Ice Cube and Lil Wayne today. I guess they showed he took a picture with Donald Trump and endorsed him, is what I saw.
Lil Wayne came out endorsing Trump.
Yes, he had a picture today with him. Yes.
Oh, we got some confused artists and Black folk, don't we?
And do you think, and I think there's some questions, I don't know how they're going to open them up with the mics, but do you think there is this vacuum that people see because of this awakening now, that's Black leadership vacuum, that artists and others are trying to jump in? However, they do not have that connection to the past, nor do they have that experience in this struggle for social justice. So I see that as, yes, their heart may be in the right place, but clearly they don't understand the struggle in which we have been in for generations.
No, it's true. And we've had some great artists. I mean, Gil Scott-Heron, it would be nice if some presidents had brought him in or bring in some Nina Simone. You know what I mean? We've had some artists. Bring in some Curtis Mayfield. He'll tell you. He's a truth teller. And genius beyond genius. Dropped out of school in 8th grade, and 2 colleges went through him. He's right now. I'm so proud as a teenager and gypsy woman at 14. And we ain't got the real winner yet. Artists can play a role, but they have to prepare themselves. They got to fortify themselves. So that when I heard that that Trump offered 50 Cent $500,000, then you know, they like politicians, they like any other group of folk, they can get bought off. They just get bought off. Folk been getting bought off for hundreds of years. And the entertainers can get bought off too. But 50 Cent say he didn't accept it. I want to be honest about that. But then he looked like he still came out for Trump. So I don't understand exactly what's going on. But Kanye and all of them too, that they get confused because they believe that simply because they're highly visible and influence a lot of people, that somehow they deserve to be leaders.
Oh, that's Cornell West.
And it doesn't follow. You can influence a lot of people and still not be prepared to be a leader. Just keep doing what you're doing in the studio.
Sorry, I missed your chat.
Kanye.
I kind of spaced out there for a minute.
They have enriched my life as artists. We had the problem in the 1960s with Wilson Pickett.
I was talking about Kanye.
I love me some Wilson Pickett. We tried to convince him not to go to South Africa. You remember that struggle? And he decided to go. I said, well, Wilson, man, you're just wrong. It's 2 left shoes, man. But you keep singing Funky Broadway because I need that. I need that. So that people have their own callings and they get confused. They get conflated. But I didn't know about Lil Wayne today. But I mean, you know, it's just a sad thing. Yeah. It's interesting that you don't have the sisters getting bought off like that.
That is true.
You know what I mean?
That is true. And that's
Lil Wayne should have called Cardi B. Give Cardi B a call. He was with Bernie.
Yeah.
Sit down and talk to Cardi B, Lil Wayne, learn something. Lil Wayne,
all right, we're spending money, but it's okay.
That little brother coming out of New Orleans is a genius.
Yeah.
But he's confused.
These guys are murderous in their cars. Whoa.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, that's all right. So let me see here.
That's all right.
I don't know how we're going to, because I don't have
Michael?
Yes. There's quite a bit of echo, so if someone has a question.
All right. We're getting moving again. Oh, there's the bus. Don't have to ride that anymore. I got my shit together now. If I park the van like right here, it kind of protects me from these fucking maniacs.
Vai, mikä sinut tänne kirkonkylälle lennätti? Joo, lähdellään tuossa. Ja morjes.
He tries to keep the oil sometimes. I gotta go back behind the counter and fucking get it from him. Alright, but I think that's everything. Yeah, nothing else back here. Just get a handful of his ass. Oh, I like to leave this emergency beer here in case he's closed. I've got that there. And it keeps me alive on the bus ride back if I die. We got sausages. Here we go. Oh, I turned it off. Oops. I love Cornell West. he makes me feel at peace, like everything's okay. He's like such an earnest, honest, compassionate speaker. Like he's the only person that really addresses like the human condition at the same time as like love and forgiveness and working for a better tomorrow. Like he really, he has a simple but intellectual way of talking about like how to personally reach for a better world. Got my new alternator in the floor. Ate my sausages. I'm looking for the dump. I gotta go by the dump and pick up my liquor jugs. I got my diesel, yeah. I think it's gonna be a left exit. This might be it right here. As I start to get dirty again, I can hear the flies buzzing. You should be able to get a UTI in this game, because you have to pee and you get dirty. So they could do it like when you get a UTI. Yeah. I make the liquor back home in a big-ass bucket, and then one by one I take the jugs and I fill them up with Kilyu. Kilyu, apparently it's a real liquor that people make. Kilju. Kilyu. And I drank it by accident. And it killed me. It really lived up to its name. What's a game? What do you mean it's a game? A6 UI and Aki? Agua? Aguia? How would you pronounce your own name? I've never pronounced it. Momo in the chat says, ugh, it's a game. So here's my bottles. I wish he would just keep them and not make me come out here to the dump and gather them like a fuck. It's so miserly. That I have to come out here and one by one pick up these bottles. I'll put Dr. West back on.
You can actually go ahead. Dr. West is listening.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Hi, Dr. West.
Yes, how you doing, my dear sister?
My name is Jennifer. I actually met you back in 2001 at the Bryn Mawr Presbyterian Church where you spoke, so I'm very wonderful to see you here in my hometown of Wilmington today.
2001, 20 years?
20 years ago, sir.
Oh, Lord, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over 20 years. Good God Almighty. Go right ahead.
So I'd like to turn the conversation to mass incarceration, if I may. You spoke on... Can you speak on what policies do you think we should be working toward to disrupt the school-to-prison pipeline specifically, since that is, among the many problems that contribute to it?
My helmet!
But I mentioned before, my dear sister, we've got to abolish poverty. That's the ideal. We've got to have quality schools so that our families and communities can once again become strong.
Firewood.
Because the way in which you stop folk from going directly from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, on the way to juvenile delinquency, on the way to jails, is you got to have love that intervenes. You got to have resources that intervene. You got to have young folk who are who learn how to go another way. See, when I was growing up, I grew up in the ghetto, but it wasn't a hood. When Donny Hathaway and Leroy Hudson sang about the ghetto, they wasn't singing about a hood. They were singing about love in that ghetto that had cultural and spiritual richness. We were just broke as the Ten Commandments financially, but we were not broke spiritually in the way in which so many young folk are broke today because they haven't been loved deep enough. They haven't been cared for deep enough. We had deep love, and I won't even get into my West Family Shallow Baptist Church and all the black brothers who set up Little League and so forth and so on. I was still a gangster, even given all of that. Jesus hadn't kicked in, but that's a whole nother issue too. So that how do we get our young people to stay on the right track in terms of integrity, honesty, decency? Once the families and communities begin to collapse with not enough jobs, once the market convinces young folk to be human is bodily stimulation and material prosperity, material toys. So the whole end of life is just to be successful. Is not to be morally and spiritually great. So you end up with a lot of successful folk who don't know what to do with it, rather than using their success to be great. And anybody can be great because he or she is greatest among you will be your servant. That's what the Bible says. That's true. What do you do with the things you got? What do you do with the gifts you got? What do you do with the money you got? So that pipeline that we're talking about is one in which you got to abolish poverty, make sure you got schools of quality, make sure you got jobs with a living wage, and make sure that people's spirits are oriented in ways that are enhancing rather than destructive. But as long as you got hoods in place, and see, hoods are mirrors of Wall Street. The gangsters on Wall Street are concerned with the 11th commandment, thou shalt not get caught. They don't give a dang about the 10th commandment, the 10 commandments. They're concerned with survival of the slickest. And our young people want to be successful. Wall Street's a model of success. So they engage in doing anything they can in order to gain money, doing anything they can in order to gain status. And when they get successful, they got to have all this paraphernalia of suffering with this golden teeth and all of this accoutrements of success. You say, hey, what makes you think that with all of that costume of success that you greater than your grandmama who loved you? You wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for her. Well, you got a point, Brother West. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. I've taught in prison for 37 years. The first question I ask the brothers when I get in there, how many of y'all take a bullet for your mama? And they all raise their hand. I said, I'm in the right place. Because you get something bigger than your ego. And it ain't gonna be just about the various manifestations of success in all the superficial ways, because you know what love is. You know that you tied to something bigger than you. And once you get young folk that's tied to a love and a justice, there ain't gonna be no pipelines. It's gonna be fundamental change in the country. Because I can tell you one thing, we got some of the most creative, courageous young folk in the history of the country, but they can't channel it in the right way. They channel it in the games. They channel it in attacking each other. They channel it in the wrong way because they haven't had enough love. But they got the energy, they got the courage, but they don't have the vision. They don't have the vision. And I can give you a good example of this in terms of our young folk. Many of the older folk remember, see, when we were coming up, see, we had groups like the Emotions. Sister Pam just died. Wanda and Sheila still. You all remember the Emotions. Delphonics, Dramatics, Temptations, The Miracles, Enchantment, Main Ingredient, Whispers, Lakeside, James Brown's Band, all of that. They were all taught to lift their voices by listening to other voices in order to generate collective expression. These days, you don't have groups to sing together. It's all individualistic. One person with a microphone. So you miss out on a soulfulness. Part of the greatness of black people is that we're a soulful people. And soul is the sharing of a soothing sweetness of a people wrestling with catastrophe. So when you hear Luther Vandross with his background, never sang alone, when you heard David Ruffin's voice, when you heard Marvin Jr. of the Mighty Dales of Chicago, or Eugene Record of the Shy-Lights, all singing together sweetly, tenderly, soulfully, they were touching our souls. They weren't just titillating our bodies. What we've seen in the recording industry is a dumbing down of our music. So they don't want the soulfulness and the sweetness and the gentleness. They want the titillation, stimulation, conquest, domination. That's what you hear in the dominant forms of our young people's music. So it's a form of spiritual warfare against our young people. Because they know we are soulful people. They know we have been so tender. That's what James Baldwin said about Malcolm X. He's the most gentle person I ever met. That's why a genius from Macon, Georgia, named Otis Redding could sing a song called Try a Little Tenderness.
I wonder where the vision comes from in this example. I guess... Oh, it's pronounced eagle. Momo Eagle in the chat asks, where does that vision come from? He said they've got the talent, they've got the skills, they've got the energy, but they don't got the vision. Where's the vision come from? Oh, there's a cousin. He wants to run me off the road. He's drunk. Drunk driving. In the example he was talking about, I would say that the vision is one of rebellion against the conquest of dumbing down of the recording industry. If you're talking about musicians, or if you're talking about, like in my field, news writing, it would be to resist the anti-intellectualism of the media. Put big words in your copy because there's people out there that need it. Maybe they don't understand it, but it's there for them if they need it. That's the vision that he's talking about of injecting integrity into channels where it has been eroded. And he seems to be saying that, like, love is the conduit of that vision. That, or maybe the force behind it. Oh no, I'm going off the road. Driving off the road, thinking about that vision. Not using the eyes in my head. Just looking out my third eye only. But the vision of of something better than the circumstance you're given. I think. So I've arrived back at the homestead. And parking brake is on. Take off my seatbelt. Lean down on the floor here and get the alternator. Now I'm finally starting to move forward with the car here. The alternator was fucked up and breaking my fan belts. just like what happened in the Chrysler. As I was on my way at the end of my 750-mile journey, in the last 30 miles, my fan belts fucking broke off, and I had to buy new ones. And right here they are. The Chrysler takes 2. This one only needs 1 at a time. And my new alternator will turn and stop destroying my belts. My belts. That's a good question, Momo Eagle.
And Babyface would say, not Roni, but tender Roni. There's a tenderness. That is the private expression of love, the way justice is the public expression of love. And when you have justice tied to tenderness, you got a possibility of changing the whole society. Now, everybody knew Richard Pryor had a tenderness to him. That brother was like an orange without a peel. He was so sensitive all the time. He loved Mule Bone when he did Mule Bone. He wasn't laughing at black people. He was laughing with black people. He was empowering black people. That's our high standards. Mom's Mabley the same. We can go on and on. I can go on and on about this, but kindness, tenderness, sweetness is part of being soulful. So a wounded people can be healed in order to be empowered to straighten our backs up. And you remember Sly Stone wrote a song called Stand, didn't he? Stand, you've been sitting much too long. There's a permanent crease in your right and wrong. Stand.
Go pee.
The cross for you to bear. Things to go through if you going anywhere. That's the genius from Vallejo. That's Sly Stone. Once you have that love and know how to be tender and straighten your back up and don't have to worry about being spineless, the powers that be, they're either going to kill you, which they've all historically done to our leaders. The ones who were really love warriors end up getting killed oftentimes because they know it's a threat. And if they start spreading that kind of love and justice and tenderness to black folk to believe in ourselves, respect ourselves, determine ourselves, defend ourselves, shoot. You ain't gonna have no Trump running around here running his mouth as if he has no accountability at all. Not at all. No way. No, we be fortified. So it's spiritual as well as moral and political. But our music has been at the center of all three. All three. And that's why we had to defend the greatness of our music, past and present. And it's not dead. I mean, we still got the, Rhapsody and a whole host of folk, Kendrick and the other, J. Cole. We've got some wonderful musicians and artists who are trying to hold it down. But it's hard to do that in the culture in which we find ourselves, definitely.
Well, there's a question.
Oh, there's the phone.
Thank you, Dr. West, from Oklahoma City, from Lisa Foster. The question is,
Oklahoma City,
without Malcolm or Martin, how do we lead and organize young people?
Come on, find the fucking phone.
Well, one is that every generation.
Oh, I missed it. No.
And elevators and Fannie Lou.
That was my chance to get the fucking money.
Generation.
Oh.
Going all the way back, hundreds of years.
All I did was turn the light on.
You got to be able to connect with them.
Oh, man.
You got to be able to highlight them. And usually when the powers that be know that they're there, they keep close track of them. First they want to do is buy them off. But they sell their souls for mess of pottage. But see, Brother Martin used to say what? He said, I'd rather be dead than afraid. Rather be a corpse than a coward. That's spiritual.
That's the call I've been waiting for, and I missed it.
Can't buy them off. And if you can't buy them off, you try to lie about it. Character assassination. FBI, COINTELPRO, Edgar Hoover and Company. And not just Martin, folk across the board. You see. Or Fannie Lou, they beat her down, tried to put her eye out. She just kept on fighting anyway. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I just co-wrote a song with Bootsy talking about stars. Stars have no names, they just shine. I tell no people your name. The question is, what's the quality of your shine? And everybody's a star anyway, a slide stick. Everybody got light inside. Everybody got to shine. Everybody can be a star in terms of letting that shine. When I was in Shiloh Baptist Church when I was a little boy, they used to tell me, little Cornell, if the kingdom of God is within you, then everywhere you go, you ought to leave a little heaven behind. That's wisdom. What kind of shine you gonna leave? What kind of heaven are you leaving behind? You can't be a coward, leave heaven behind. You have to be courageous. You got to lift your voice. And so we have that younger generation. And let's keep in mind, the Black Lives Matter movement. Oh, we've got some young folk on the move. Largest protest demonstration in the history of the country. Sisters. Some of them lesbian, queer. Oh, that's another challenge. Old folk, I've been straight all my life. I can't deal with none of these lesbians. Well, who you think James Baldwin was? Oh, he's my hero, but I don't like to come to terms with his gayness. Who you think Audre Lorde was? Well, she mean the world to me, but I can't come to terms with her lesbian. Who you think Billie Holiday was? You think she just like men? Whoa, Billie, I can't live without Billie. Strange fruit to change my life. Yeah. Who you think Ma Rainey was? Who you think Bessie Smith was? They live. You got to come to who you think that brother is playing on the organ sometime in your church. Who moves you at the deepest level. You know he's gay as he can be. Or what we used to say in the old folk. Well, he's that way. He's that way, but he just means the world to me. Our church can't function without him. He hits that piano and that organ so beautiful, but he's that way. Well, the question is, how deep is your love? Because the young folk, you see, they can't stand the churches that don't want to hit patriarchy, homophobia, and transphobia. Jesus said, love your neighbor. He didn't say, love your neighbor but the gay folk. Love your neighbor but the lesbian. Love your neighbor but the trans. Love your neighbor but this color. Love your neighbor but that color. No, love your neighbor, period. Yeah. That's a little bit hard. The Paul got some other things going on. Paul was talking about slaves be obedient to your master. Well, we got around that one, didn't we? Oh, Paul said women ought not make a noise in church. I'm Baptist. We got around that one quick. Yeah. We ain't got to the Pentecostals yet. You see?
Absolutely.
But it's the love at the center. And if you're Christian and you got Jesus, if you're not Christian, you still got access to human love and justice that embraces people of all.
I like how he includes non-Christians and brings about the same quality of love. Like, it doesn't matter because you still have the same capacity for love as, like, what they claim to have. Like, really, West has that love that so many so-called Christians like pretend to have, and then like he would never exclude a non-Christian who actually accesses their capacity for love in fan belts. It's snap in a Chrysler.
Absolutely. I think we have is there any more questions? Someone is going to come to the mic. Is that correct? Yes, I think we have somebody there.
Oh, there's a dear sister right there.
We cannot hear you. Dr. West is listening.
Absolutely. No, you take your time. Take your time. They're going to work it out. They're going to work it out.
Dr. West is
Here
listening.
Comes up,
Hey,
brother.
check 1, 2. Can anybody
Yes,
hear me?
we can hear you now.
Hey, there we go. Everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Here we go. I'm going to hand the mic back for the question.
Thank you so much, there, brother.
My question is, you talked about African American people having to struggle for over 400 years, and one of the questions that always boggled my mind is why do you feel as African Americans we are hated so much?
I appreciate that question, my dear sister.
She asked, why does he
Appreciate the
feel
question.
African Americans are
I
hated
don't
so
think there's
much?
a definitive answer to that because there's so many different motivations for hatred. Very much so. But I could say this, just looking at my dear sister, because I noticed she had that beautiful, looked like she had Prince's purple on, Alice Walker's purple on, and she had a style, and she had a self-confidence. And when you're socialized in a white supremacist civilization, which means you're deeply socialized into vicious lies, when you see black folk walking with such self-confidence and so much style, brothers walking down the street like they worth $10 million and they could be broke as they can be, but the way they walking is such that they have this tremendous presence and spirit. That's a threat to the lies that you have been socialized into. And so you either have to check yourself in a self-critical way or you project a certain contempt and hatred. So that's one thing, that's one way of getting at it. Same is true, with the Tulsa riot when they killed so many black business folk, right, in Oklahoma. They were out competing the white business folk. Well, white supremacy tells you black folk are not supposed to outcompete. That's why when Jack Johnson knocked out a white brother in 1909, they had race riots all across the nation because they finally had a space of fairness, which was the boxing ring with the referee, and you're knocking white cats out. And they thinking, oh my God, this is a shattering of white supremacy. Black folk aren't supposed to outcompete white people. So they either come to terms with the white supremacy as a vicious lie, or they project the hatred on the folk who are still walking around as if they are winners. Like Curtis Mayfield say, we're winner. We'll win. And how these people gonna say they win and they broke all the time? We got our children, we got our churches, we got our music, we got our style, we got our bodies, we got our grandmamas, we got our histories, we got our memories, and nobody can take that away from us. And you're walking like you're a winner, and they say, oh, we got to crush them even more. That's pathological, but it is what it is to be socialized in a sick society, in a white supremacist society. But that's just one of the explanations. I think there's a whole lot of explanations. Hatred itself, it's a human thing. Black folk hate each other. Too many men hate women, women hate men. Hatred is a complicated thing, but when it's tied to white supremacy, I think we do have to connect it in terms of a certain black self-confidence that defies white supremacist lies, very much so. It's also tied to greed. When black folk want fairness on the job, it's like we're taking your money. No, you're not taking our money. We help produce your money. What you want reparations for? Well, for 244 years, we worked for free. Don't you think at 244 years of free labor under the most barbaric conditions, that kind of damage requires some kind of retort, some kind of response? And think how sick it is in the history of America that when they declared emancipation, like they did in Washington, D.C., the slave holders were compensated, not the slaves. Think how sick that is. That's not just hypocritical. There's a difference between a gangster and a hypocrite. Hypocrisy is the complement, vice pays the virtue. When you're a hypocrite, you know what virtue is. You're just trying to hide it and conceal it. So you're acting as if you're something that you're not. That's a hypocrite. Virtue still has some weight. A gangster has no sense of virtue at all. See, that's Trump. That's compensating slaveholders. Don't even think about how sick it is to compensate slaveholders. Why? Because you live in a society where property has more value than persons. So if you take somebody's property, even when they are persons, you got to pay them back. And that's why slaveholders have been compensated and the slaves have not. And then when the descendants of slaves come and say, we want compensation, they say, this is so irrational. We just don't understand. What kind of framework are you working in? Get outside of your white supremacist one. Get outside of your narrow one and understand what justice really is. Understand what fairness really is. And of course, all you got to do is, I mean, it's this way. You say, I tell you what, let's assume that black people enslaved white brothers and sisters for 244 years. Do you think you would want reparations? Of course you would. So all you got to do is get outside your little narrow white supremacist way of looking at the world and say, black people are just as human as you. Now, I know some of y'all ain't got the memo yet, but it's coming. It's on the way. We just as human as you. We just as precious as you. If we had enslaved you for 244 years, you'd have a white reparations movement every Friday night. Every city, every white church. They'd have white musicians sing about white reparations. And as a Christian, I would say anybody enslaved ought to have reparations. I'd be in solidarity with the white brothers and sisters. I say, now, you black folk, y'all were wrong as enslaving them for that long. You shouldn't have done that. Jesus don't like that. That's not moral. That's not right. Because we have a moral and a spiritual standing. That's exactly why we have not created a black version of the Ku Klux Klan. Whereas if black folk had enslaved white folk for 244 years, do you know how big the Klan would be? It'd be a major movement. Major movement. Because historically, it doesn't look as if the white population in the country has a majority leadership tied to love and justice as opposed to hatred and revenge. That our leadership with Frederick Douglass and Ida B. Wells and Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, they weren't trying to enslave other folk. They were trying to ensure slavery never existed as a whole. They had a higher moral and spiritual ground, you see. And so it seems to me that we've got to be very, very candid about just, you know, how morally empty things are, even as we don't allow it to be the point of reference, because it's been like that for so long. We got to get our traditions together, our peoples together, and those who are willing to work with us. I would say the same thing in terms of international relations. You know, I get in trouble a lot of times when I talk about my Palestinian brothers and sisters. I say, don't y'all know if there's a Palestinian occupation of Jews, I would be in solidarity with my Jewish brothers and sisters. Occupation is wrong. Well, now there's an Israeli occupation of Palestinians. I'm in solidarity with my Palestinian brothers and sisters based on the same moral and spiritual grounds. It doesn't make me anti-Jewish. It doesn't make me anti-Semitic. Not at all. Occupation is wrong, no matter what. No matter what. The Chinese do it to Tibet, when the Indians do it to Kashmir, and so forth and so on. So that's the kind of high standards that the black tradition has dished out to the world. That's the caravan of love that the Isley brothers sing about. That's the love train that the OJs sing about. You see.
Dr. West, do we have any more questions? Because I tell you, you have, man, this has been a blessing to be with you.
Yes,
this
another
evening.
question.
There's another question.
That's
okay,
fine. Absolutely.
Let's
Ask
go
your
ahead with it.
Good evening, Dr. West.
How you doing, my dear sister?
Wonderful. I wanted to get your take on, it's the younger generation of black conservatives who seem to love Trump as opposed to Van Jones, who doesn't. I think you had conversations with Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord, yeah. Oh, Lord, yeah.
And have you had conversations with Van Jones, the former head of the RNC?
Put that microphone up
Van
to your
Jones.
face.
Oh, yeah. When he got fired by the Obama administration, we hired him at Princeton. So he stayed with us for a whole year. His office was right next to mine, and we used to break bread and have wonderful dialogues and argue and learn from each other. Very much so. But one thing to keep in mind, my dear sister, is that, we've always had black conservatives in the country. So again, we shouldn't be surprised at that. We just have to, give them the right to express themselves and then show them why they're wrong and how wrong they are, and hope that they're not simply siding with power and wealth for greedy reasons. See, it's one thing to be a conservative and really believe what you're saying. It's another thing to be a conservative and simply go with folk who have the money and status and power. Because at that point, you're just well adjusted to injustice. You're just accommodating yourself to the powers that be. Whereas we've got some black conservatives who really, believe in free markets and don't want Wall Street to be regulated, that don't believe in redistribution of wealth downward, that believe somehow that that liberty can easily become but don't realize actually that liberty can actually become a justification for greed. Malcolm X used to remind us, liberty for the wolves is death for the lambs. So that when you talk about liberty, we all want liberty. We all want rights and liberties, very much so. But we don't want liberties for slaveholders to enslave us. We don't want liberty for wife beaters to think that they can violate the humanity of women without any accountability. No, it's wrong. So don't use liberty loosely like that. Don't allow liberty to slide into licentiousness and greed. Liberty's got to be tied to a freedom. And that freedom means freedom for others as well as yourself. It's like these folks walking around with, I ain't gonna wear no mask because I believe in liberty. Hey, you're spreading the virus to somebody else. You ain't got the right to spread the virus to somebody else. Your liberty is undercutting their liberty. You a wolf and you treating them like a lamb. Check yourself. Greed, narrowness, egoism, egotism. You see what I mean? Narcissism. That's spiritually bankrupt. That's moral decrepitude. And we have to call it out. We got some folk like that. When I was in Charlottesville, I'll never forget, and I was with we were up against some serious neo-Nazi gangsters. Whew. Oh, you talking about some twisted white brothers. Oh, Lord. The Klan was there too. Y'all remember that just a few years ago? And we out there singing This Little Light of Mine, and they about to crush us like cockroaches.
Twisted white
came in and actually saved me. But it was two things that hit me was, one was that there was a black brother marching with them. And I said, geez. I mean, even Clarence Thomas don't go that far. You know what I mean? Clarence been siding with the powerful and the wealthy for a long time. This brother was marching with them. Twisted. But the other thing was, we walked by the park and all of these sick white brothers hating black people, hating Jews, hating gays and lesbians, they listening to Motown. And you say, how you gonna listen to the music of the people you about to mow down? See how twisted that is? That they grow up in the United States where black music is so fundamental that they could love the products of black people and hate the black people who produce it. The human beings are very, very strange species. Very strange species. Very complicated and very sick. But we have the capacity to confront it and overcome it. Very much so. I mean, it's like brothers who are misogynists, but can't go through 3 days without listening to Aretha. You say, hey, wait, man, I thought you putting women down. No, but Aretha touches me in my soul, and I got to have her sing Daydreaming. I'm about to snap. I said, my God, this is a walking contradiction. Walking contradiction. It's human, but we have to call it out for what it is. Got to call it out for what it is.
I think we have one more question. And
that's fine, though.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
that sick white brothers thing.
Oh, my dear sister, how
Made me
you
laugh.
doing there?
Oh, alhamdulillah. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wilmington Public Library. You know I love y'all.
There's some good folk in that library.
Woo!
Wonderful folk in that library. Absolutely.
Dr. West, there's been so much wonderful knowledge. I have to ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to dismantling the school to prison pipeline, I wrote this out so I wouldn't forget it. I think we have an opportunity, and I appreciated what you said about our choices for the White House on Tuesday.
Yes, very important, very important.
So in addition to that legislation and policy effort,
This is the 3rd of November or something.
This prison pipeline that our
2nd.
people are just going through, the babies. What else? What's the other part of the plan? That's what I'm concerned about. I want whoever is in, quote, leadership, because it needs to be broad. It needs to be generational. All of us didn't sell out, everybody.
That's right. That's exactly right.
What else needs to be in the plan to push the former vice president to do what's needed to bring about equity and not have any of my babies 20 years from now saying, wait a minute, we got the same problems. That's happened to me, and I know it's happened to you.
Oh,
brother.
yes, you're right. You're right, my dear sister.
What other plan, what other piece of the plan would you recommend?
Ooh, I appreciate
I know
that
it's a lot.
question. No, I love the question and the spirit behind the question. And just looking at you, I just see such grace and dignity and unbelievable determination. And you're still on fire. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Can you all hear me all right? Am I all right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Absolutely. No, but I think that we need to put pressure on Brother Biden after he wins. I hope it does. That there's got to be massive investment in poor and working class communities, especially poor and working class Black communities. And by investment, what do I mean? I mean, when I talked about jobs with a living wage, when I talked about investment in housing made available to people, there's got to be healthcare made available to people, and quality education made available to people. And that means there's a major redistribution of wealth from the well-to-do to poor and working people. In the last 40 years, we've experienced a redistribution of wealth from poor and working people to the well-to-do. It's upward redistribution. Right. We need downward, and we have to have that massive investment. We need our businesses so that we have communities and neighborhoods that can function with goods and services available, with grocery stores and other kinds of foods that are fresh and nutritious and so forth. And all we need is just a massive, it's a kind of renaissance, really. That's really what we're talking about. By renaissance, people usually mean artistic and literary, but we're talking about political, a democratic renaissance. A democratic renaissance is a rebirth that affirms the capacity and potentiality of everyday people, of ordinary people. And that requires a movement. That's why we had to put pressure on Biden. If we had all the folk in the streets, which was so beautiful with Floyd and Breonna and all the precious ones who've been shot down by these cowardly police, that if we had folks on the streets calling for that kind of investment in poor communities and working class communities, and especially Black communities, it'd be a different kind of pressure.
That's right.
Oh, it'd be a different kind of pressure, you see, I'm telling you. And if, for example, we had all these corporations who were, instead of just talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, just to make their hierarchy more colorful, use some of their capital to invest in the communities of ordinary people. So they can bring in the black professionals, fine, beautiful. Don't stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop there. Because, we've got a problem with our black middle class. We've got some
Hello,
heroic
Yeet.
members of the black middle class, but we've got some cowardly ones too, who themselves get caught into narrow careerism and opportunism and don't lift as they climb. They get up there and don't want to bring more folk in, or they don't want the investments to go into the larger community. They want the focus to be on them. And that's a problem. We end up producing a whole generation of middle class folk who just walk around like they peacocks. Look at me. I'm so rich. I'm so smart. I'm so sophisticated. I'm so refined. You can live through me. I can hear folks saying peacock strut because they can't fly. We have been a people of eagles. Fly high. Keep track of folk on the ground catching hell, you see. All of our great figures in the black tradition have never been peacocks. Never. Not at all.
Linux Master, I'm surprised you're not in jail right now. Why were you not ripped out of your apartment in the middle of the night by... So they didn't find out you hacked that fucking factory or whatever? Did you finally fence that drill you stole? Just out from jail. Yeah? What was it like in there? Did they make you spread your butthole? Because you hacked a mainframe?
Prince put on his purple. Everybody knew that was subordinate to the music that he was producing. And when he got on that stage, he could have been wearing a jock strap. He was going to move. He was going to play. And they were going to touch your soul in such a way that after 2.5 hours, you don't care what he's wearing. He's moving you. His music is touching at the deepest level. James Brown was the same way. They came to serve. They came to give. It wasn't just the costume, because they were cool. They were sharp. But after a while, the costume didn't mean nothing. It was the music. It was a performance of touching a... Rescue me if I'm wrong, as my dear brother Maulana Karenga used to say. I'm not lying. James Brown would go 3.5 hours non-stop with Bobby Bird. And at the end of every concert, what would he say? I'm an extension of you. You're an extension of me. I don't exist without you. I'm part of the community. Did anybody come here to play a song that we didn't play? You didn't play Soul Power, James. He said, hit it, Bootsy. He played a song right there on the spot after 3.5 hours. He came to serve. That's not peacocking. No. We come from a people that says, by your fruit you shall know them, not by your foliage. And foliage is all the flowers and the greenery and the projection of the spectacle. No, that's not how you measure folk. It's by the fruit. When James Brown got off that stage and he could hardly walk because he gave everything. He emptied himself. That was the fruit that everybody knew. James gave everything. He did that last night too. He gonna do that tomorrow night too. He gave everything. You know that wonderful line that Curtis Mayfield wrote for Gene Chandler in the song, Just Be True, Just Be True. He said, I've given you all of me and plan to give even more, baby. Now, how in the world you going to give everything you got and plan to give more? That's Curtis. That's Gene Chandler. That's emptying everything inside of you. You give it all, like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. They give it all. And brother Owen knows about Prince. Prince would give it all. He couldn't walk after the concert.
Yes,
Al
sir.
Green would sing with one of his arms broken. He could hardly even move after the concert. He gave it all. Mahalia Jackson giving it all. Billy give it all. John Coltrane would play his horn so intensely that sometimes he'd drop the horn and beat on his chest. And Rashid Ali said, Train, what you doing, man? What you doing? He said, I'm giving my everything I got. And sometimes my horn gets in the way. Hey, that's love supreme right there. That's love supreme right there. That's where we come from. That's our tradition at its best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am informed that we have one more question.
You put 100% of yourself into something, and it's inspiring. It inspires other people, and it inspires things within yourself. It inspires you to do that in other areas of your life. From the biggest projects you could undertake, like hacking a factory so that you could steal a $400 drill, right down to the very mundane of taking an alternator out of a car. You do it 100%, and it bleeds over into other areas of your life and your world, and you do things with greater intention and greater attention to detail, putting your focus into where it matters and doing everything completely and whole.
And this will be the final question, but we appreciate it, and Dr. West is listening.
Good evening. This question, and asking on behalf of someone who wants to know what your thoughts are on R. Kelly and Bill Cosby.
Oh, she asked him about R. Kelly and Bill Cosby.
My thoughts on their art and their situation, my dear sister?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. Well, again, I always start with the best, and then I move to the worst inside of folk. That I know that R. Kelly comes out of one of the greatest traditions, which is the singing of a silky soul. I know he was shaped by the niece of Thomas Dorsey, who was one of the greatest of our singers. He wrote Precious Lord, right when his baby and his wife died at the same time. He'd already written 90 songs for Ma Rainey, but he went from the blues to the church, became a piano player for Pilgrim's Baptist Church in Chicago with Mahalia Jackson. Well, that Thomas Dorsey's niece was a teacher of R. Kelly. R. Kelly was illiterate. He couldn't read, but she taught him how, in fact, to play and how, in fact, to sing. And his music has informed and enriched my life in a very, very deep and profound way. He's one of the greatest soul singers of his generation. He's not as great as Gerald Levert, but we could have arguments about that on back and forth, or even Glenn Jones, but he's one of the great ones. At the same time, his situation is one in which he looked like, given the evidence, has flagrantly mistreated precious young sisters. And he's wrong if they show that to be the case. Looks like we got the evidence for it. He's wrong as he can be. And Cosby's the same way. Cosby enriched my life. One of the great artists. He's right there with Moms Mabley. He's right there with Richard Pryor. He's right there with Dick Gregory as a great comic artist and so forth. He's enriched my life. At the same time, given what the evidence looks like, he's wrong too. So both of them in situations where they were doing wrong things, wrong, unjust, immoral, based on the evidence. Simultaneously, both of them great artists. And the art can't completely be erased. The art can never excuse their unjust acts. Miles Davis would be the same way. Playing that beautiful horn. Oh, the stories we hear from Cicely Tyson, one of the great artists herself. Betty Davis, his other wife, who was a funk master, one of the few Black women who had the highest level of funk music. For a year and a half, that she produced that magnificent set of albums. Miles Davis, got to call it for what it is. Wrong, and yet genius in his music. And of course, we've got, a number of other examples as well. Tammy Terrell, David Ruffin. David Ruffin's music touches me at the deepest level. That brother saying, ain't too proud to beg, my girl, takes me to a different world. Then I find out about his relation to Tammy Terrell, wrong as he could be, unjust, immoral. We got to keep track of both simultaneously. Simultaneously. Very much so. Very much so.
Well,
I hate to end on a note with people getting beat up and things, though, but but as human beings, I think we have to always try to be candid, both about ourselves and others. The best in us and the worst in us. The best in others and the worst in others.
Thank you, my brother.
Well,
Thank you.
very much, Dr. West. It's been an honor. Thank you, Mr. Owens, for moderating such a compelling and provocative conversation. And we would like to thank Milk and Honey here in Wilmington.
Milk and Honey hosted that in Wilmington. Good for that was at Wilmington Public Library. What a treat for a public library to. It's got, I see like 8 people there, and they've got Dr. West up at the front of the room on a projector screen in a Zoom call. His phone was going off the whole time. What did I get? 3rd place? Well, I guess I'll call it here. It's time for bed. I gotta go and face another 6, possibly 7-day work week coming up, which means 12 or 15-day work week in the end. Once it all shakes out. Without breaks. Linux Master, hey, I'm glad to see that you're free and walking among us. Good for you. You live to hack another day. Momo Eagle, it's always a pleasure. Nice to hang out and talk about Cornell West with you. And Yeet, I take it you're asleep. It's 4 a.m. and you're 12 years old. You should be asleep. Just like me at 12. Okay, that's it. That is all she wrote. Catch you guys on the flip side. Be real. Be well. Go fuck yourselves. Hate Sex signing off.